Stop, look, and watch, it's Crazy
Just over 5 years ago, I was at a flea market in Anacortes. I mean, if you ask me, it's a thrift store, but it calls itself a flea market, so who am I to judge? I found a box filled with old Doctor Who tapes. 31, in fact. 7 of which have not even been taken out of the plastic. I got the whole box for $16. There was also an Elmo tape in there somewhere. I don't know where it is. It was 5 years ago. But the thing is, time got away from me, and I never actually watched any of these. I said back in 2015 that I was going to watch them and review them. Even at that point, it had been like 8 months since I got the tapes. So, this is a long time coming. But I'm stuck at home. What else am I going to do? Except for, I think, just one. I haven't seen any of these episodes. So, this should be quite the experience. I don't want Doctor Who to totally dominate this month, though, so I'm going to be doing 8 Doctor Who videos, reviewing X many episodes per video. And those should be on Saturdays and Tuesdays, just for this month. Okay, so now that I'm actually crunching the numbers on all this, there's no way I can do all of those tapes this month. I mean, I really wanted to, and I really thought I could, but I've gathered the relevant data from 17 tapes so far, and we're up to over 28 hours worth of Doctor Who here. I like Doctor Who, but I don't have that kind of time, oh my lord, to watch 28 solid hours Doctor Who, and that's only 17 out of 31 tapes. As for this month, I'm just going to do the ones that I want to do and as many as I can. Well, anyway, enough jibber jabber. I now have the perfect viewing apparatus. That's not grammatically appropriate at all. We're going to start with Doctor Who's second story ever, The Daleks. Ugh. Alright, well, seeing that it's 3 hours long, let's hope it's any good. Terry Nation's reputation precedes him, as he is very efficient at killing time. Given a bit more depth, some of these interactions could be really meaningful and substantial. I mean, we basically drop into this story, and Ian and Barbara have sort of reached their limit with the Doctor. They got through all those shenanigans with the cavemen from the previous story, and now he wants answers, and the Doctor isn't giving him any, and that's really making him mad. And so stuff like that I really appreciate, but I question the necessity of having a plot line in the first episode where the Doctor disregards Susan or doesn't believe her, and then she gets proven right. It could also very well be setting up a conclusion or redemption for that at the end of the story. So I look forward to seeing if that's going to happen. I'm impressed that there is a level of depth between the relationships that these characters have with each other. I'd say the least developed might be Susan and Ian, but other than that, I'm impressed at how well things are balanced. The last couple minutes I felt maybe were a bit too repetitive, especially with Barbara running around in this facility where every room looks the same. While I appreciated what part 1 was trying to do, part 2 is honestly kind of a bore. Once Barbara and the rest get back together, they spend most of the episode just laying around being sick, and quite a long amount of runtime is dedicated to figuring out who's going to go back to the TARDIS. And then once Susan is on her way back there, she keeps getting scared by lightning. Then the episode ends with her opening the door to more lightning. Got to hear a bit from the Daleks, but that's really it. Okay, part 3 is definitely picked up a bit. I like that the Thulls are getting more characterization than I expected. I didn't really expect any. I'm not sure why. The Daleks do have a bit of personality. I like that this is sort of a prison escape episode near the end. And there was actually a moment there in the middle where it legit started to feel like a courtroom drama. I think it's hilarious that they literally just took the Dalek out of the suit and Ian got in and He's just inside the Dalek, and he just sounds like a Dalek. I think that's fascinating because, I don't know, I feel like you would not see that on any sort of modern Doctor Who episode. Even though a couple years ago we had Clara and the Dalek in The Witch is Familiar. Looks like they're gonna Trojan horse the Daleks in the next episode. Oh, what episode are we on now? Number 4? This one's slowed down a little bit. But I do like where things are going. They spend like half the episode just trying to escape, and then they get back to the Thals. I feel like I'm having just a hard time hearing the name of these people. It has become obvious that Ian just really, really, really wants to be seen as the hero of this story, and he tries to take charge at every opportunity. But I feel like he has so little stage presence. And that's nothing against the actor. I'm talking about the character. Has such little stage presence that he completely fails at every opportunity to take over and become in charge. The Doctor is too stubborn to let that happen. It's funny, considering the nature of how these stories were told, the pacing and plot structure is completely different than your traditional TV show or movie. I feel like you would have a hard time simplifying this down to a 3-act structure, which is certainly a different experience for me, but not a bad one. And with that, we finished tape 1. Now on to tape 2. Episode 5 doesn't have much going on, just a lot of strategizing. But in the last 10 minutes or so, when they start going on their expedition, Ian finally gets to play the hero and leader role. And you can just feel the smugness on his face about it. He's getting so much sick joy from being able to give people orders and see himself as on level with this leader guy. But then at the very end, I think the lake swallows up a guy or something happens. Not entirely sure what just happened, but I guess I'll find out. Coming into episode 6, this one was really dragging for me. We have more of Ian high on being in charge, or at least feeling like he is. They finish their journey into the city. Barbara, the last couple episodes, and especially in the beginning of this one, is utterly useless from a story perspective. Then they pull a heist involving static electricity. I've never heard the static thing outside of this episode for what powers the Daleks. So I wonder if it's something that was retconned in their second appearance or what. Even in reviews of this story, I've never heard mention of it, which I think is interesting. Alright, so there's this part in episode 7 where I love this, that the Doctor isn't able to talk his way out of a situation. The modern Doctor, I feel, has so many times where they're just clever enough where they just talk their way out of any situation. With this one, tries to fake an attempted bargaining with the Daleks, and his whole plan sort of falls apart when they don't think that they need him. But he takes it well, doesn't make a fuss about it, and that's really refreshing to see, considering how the Doctor can be on the show nowadays. Also, I wanted to mention that Susan, throughout this whole story, I can't help but feel is being written to seem like way younger than she is. I mean, obviously this woman is like 20 or 25 playing this 15-year-old girl, but they're writing her like she's 8, I feel like. And I gotta say, I liked this episode. There were some good moments in here. I think Ian learned that being the hero is not all it's cracked up to be, which is nice. Seems a bit humbled, maybe. Again, I don't know if this Ian wanting to be the hero story was even there, but I really felt like it was, and I really enjoyed it. There's a part where there's a Dalek literally counts down all the way from like 40, and then around like 20 seconds they slow down counting, and then they get to 3 and they don't even say the last 3, and then the doctor turns it off anyway. I really liked the last couple minutes when they were wrapping everything up and saying goodbye. Some good moments, and then there was this like romance between this Thrall and Barbara. I don't recall that being a thing in the story, but you know, good for them. All in all, it's certainly an uneven story. I thought there was a lot to appreciate in the first episode, but it maybe dragged a bit in places. It picked up a bit throughout the story, but the last episode I think really picked up and ended things well. There's some good moments throughout there. I didn't expect to grade these things, but I just felt it in the moment. I don't know. I'll give it a B. You know what? I'll give it a B. It's a solid Doctor Who experience. We got plenty of character there. Got lots of interaction between Ian and the Thralls. I like the relationship with the Doctor and the Daleks. Susan, especially in the last moments in this episode, is still being written like an 8-year-old. It's almost kind of creepy. There were a few jokes in the first couple episodes that seemed not out of place, but unexpected to hear people talking like that in Doctor Who. It seemed and very casual, especially considering that these are supposed to be aliens that talk slightly differently than we do. I liked that there were different Dalek voices. I like that someone got in the Dalek suit, which is not something I expected to see. There were a few parts that were a little repetitive and a little slow. I like that the city was obviously like a model. There's also a joke I really liked about the Doctor not knowing Ian's last name. That was pretty funny. Anyway, see you tomorrow.
Choo choo.